Welcome back to NBC News Channel, where we continue to uncover the most shocking and disturbing developments emerging from the dark underbelly of Salem. Today, we're diving into a storyline so twisted and morally reprehensible that it will fundamentally alter the power dynamics within the entire town. The situation has escalated far beyond anyone's worst nightmares. Rita and Gwen have orchestrated the kidnapping of Javi, and they've issued a chilling ultimatum to Leo that will force him to make an impossible choice. Stay away from the laboratory, they warn, or face the horrifying consequences as innocent blood is spilled. Who is Javi? What role does this mysterious figure play in Salem's increasingly complex web of deceit? And most critically, will Leo comply with this devastating ultimatum, or will his desire for revenge and answers compel him to risk everything? These are the questions that will dominate Salem's consciousness as November sweeps intensify and the true depths of the DiMera conspiracy are finally revealed. The kidnapping, Javi becomes a pawn in a deadly game. The shocking revelation that Rita and Gwen have joined forces to kidnap Javi represents a disturbing escalation in their willingness to commit heinous crimes in service of the DiMera family agenda. This isn't a simple abduction, it's a calculated and ruthless act of psychological warfare designed to place maximum pressure on Leo and force him into a position of absolute vulnerability. Javi, whoever this mysterious figure may be, has become nothing more than a chess piece on the DiMera board, a human bargaining chip to be used and discarded when no longer useful. The question of why Gwen would agree to participate in kidnapping an innocent person reveals how deeply she has been compromised by EJ's manipulation and control. Either Gwen has been threatened into compliance, or she has descended so completely into moral darkness that she no longer distinguishes between right and wrong. Rita's involvement in the kidnapping comes as no surprise to anyone familiar with her brutal history within Salem's criminal underworld. She has murdered, disappeared, and tortured countless individuals without hesitation or remorse. For Rita, kidnapping Javi is simply another task in a long career of unspeakable violence. The fact that she and Gwen are working together suggests that Gwen has been fully inducted into the DiMera family's most sinister operations. Rita has become Gwen's mentor in the art of committing crimes that would make most people physically ill. Rita moves through Salem like a phantom, orchestrating kidnappings and disappearances with surgical precision. She knows exactly how to make someone vanish without triggering an immediate police investigation. She understands the psychology of terror and knows precisely how to use fear as a weapon of control. The logistics of the kidnapping itself reveal the level of planning and coordination that has gone into this operation. Javi must have been surveilled for weeks, his movements tracked, his vulnerabilities identified. Rita and Gwen would have selected the perfect moment to strike a time when Javi was isolated and vulnerable, far from help or potential rescue. They would have used overwhelming force to subdue any resistance. Javi is now being held in a secure location, a place from which escape is virtually impossible. The location is likely somewhere connected to the DiMera organization, perhaps a warehouse, a safe house, or some other property where the family conducts its most illicit business. Javi is being kept alive for one purpose, and one purpose only: to serve as leverage against Leo. The ultimatum, a choice between loyalty and survival. The ultimatum delivered to Leo represents one of the most psychologically devastating threats that could possibly be issued. Rita and Gwen have communicated their demands clearly and unambiguously. Leo must stay away from Dr. Rolf's laboratory. He must not attempt to investigate what is happening in that facility. He must not ask questions or seek answers. If he violates these conditions, if he ignores their warnings and proceeds with his own agenda, then Javi will pay the ultimate price. Javi will be executed, and Leo will bear responsibility for that death. The psychological weight of this ultimatum cannot be overstated. Leo is being forced to choose between his own desire for truth and the life of another human being. This ultimatum demonstrates the absolute ruthlessness of everyone involved in this conspiracy. Rita and Gwen are not making vague threats or issuing warnings they don't intend to follow through on. They are communicating in crystal clear terms that they are willing to commit murder to ensure Leo's compliance. The fact that they would target someone as innocent as Javi shows they have abandoned any pretense of morality or restraint. They are operating at the level of pure sociopathy, willing to do anything to achieve their objectives. For Leo, this represents an impossible situation. If he complies with the ultimatum and stays away from the laboratory, He will never learn what Dr. Rolf is doing, never understand why EJ is so desperate to hide these experiments, and never uncover the truth about what happened to Leo and others who have disappeared. But if Leo chooses to pursue his investigation regardless of the consequences, if he decides that his need for answers outweighs his responsibility to keep Javi alive, then he will have Javi's blood on his hands. He will have to live with the knowledge that his choices directly resulted in an innocent person's death. This is the psychological trap that has been set for Leo, a situation where every possible choice leads to devastating consequences. There is no winning move, no way to achieve a good outcome. Leo is trapped in a scenario designed by brilliant manipulators who understand psychology and human nature at an extraordinarily sophisticated level. The question becomes, what will Leo choose to do? Will he prioritize his desire for answers and truth, or will he prioritize the safety of an innocent person? For some people, the answer would come immediate: sacrifice any amount of personal knowledge to save a human life. But Leo is not a typical person. Leo has demonstrated throughout his character arc that he is willing to compromise his ethics for personal gain. He has betrayed friends, manipulated allies, and done terrible things in pursuit of his own objectives. Will Leo maintain his moral integrity in this moment, or will he make the selfish choice? Gwen's continued descent from victim to villain. Gwen's participation in kidnapping Javi represents perhaps the most devastating transformation of her character arc. Gwen was originally presented as a victim of circumstance, a woman caught between conflicting loyalties and forced to make impossible choices. She had legitimate grievances. She had suffered genuine traumas. She deserved sympathy and understanding. But somewhere along the way, Gwen crossed a line from which there may be no return. She transformed from someone committing crimes under duress into someone actively choosing to participate in kidnapping and psychological terrorism. The question of why Gwen would agree to kidnap Javi reveals much about what she has become. Perhaps she is still under EJ's control, still being manipulated and threatened into compliance. Perhaps EJ has threatened to harm someone Gwen cares about if she refuses to participate. Perhaps Gwen believes that participating in this kidnapping will earn her favor with the DiMera family and protect her from future harm. Or perhaps Gwen has simply decided that she no longer cares about the moral implications of her actions. Perhaps she has embraced her role as a villain and accepted the darkness that now defines her character. The psychological relationship between Gwen and Rita is particularly disturbing. Rita is a master criminal with decades of experience committing unspeakable acts. Now Gwen is learning at the feet of one of Salem's most dangerous operatives. Rita is teaching Gwen how to commit crimes, how to threaten people, how to maintain psychological control over victims. Rita is showing Gwen that she is capable of far more darkness than she ever imagined possible. Their partnership suggests that Rita sees potential in Gwen, sees someone who could eventually become as dangerous and ruthless as Rita herself. For Gwen, there are two possible paths forward. One path leads to redemption, a moment where Gwen experiences a profound change of heart, recognizes the horror of what she is doing, and makes the incredibly difficult decision to defy the DiMera family and free Javi. This would be a moment of heroic moral courage, where Gwen chooses conscience over survival, chooses to do the right thing even when it comes at great personal cost. The other path leads to complete moral dissolution, where Gwen continues sliding deeper into darkness until she becomes indistinguishable from Rita or any other DiMera operative. The question of which path Gwen will choose will define her character for the foreseeable future. Rita, the architecture of evil. Rita has emerged as the primary architect of this kidnapping conspiracy, and her role cannot be understated. Rita's history within Salem demonstrates that she is capable of planning and executing the most complex and morally reprehensible crimes imaginable. She has experience making people disappear permanently. She has experience committing murder and getting away with it. She understands the criminal underworld and knows how to operate within it without leaving evidence that could be used against her in any investigation. Rita's willingness to kidnap Javi demonstrates her complete lack of moral restraint. For Rita, human life has no value. People are tools to be used and discarded when they are no longer useful. Rita sees the world in purely transactional terms: what can be gained, what must be done to gain it, and who must be sacrificed in the process. Rita's calm demeanor and her appearance as a harmless older woman actually makes her more dangerous, because people underestimate her. They see a grandmother figure and fail to perceive the cold, calculating murderer beneath the disguise. Rita's relationship with EJ is one of absolute subordination. Each commands, and Rita obeys without hesitation or question. EJ wants Javi kidnapped as leverage against Leo. Rita will arrange it. EJ wants someone disappeared permanently. Rita will ensure it happens. This relationship reveals EJ's absolute control over the DiMera family's criminal operations. EJ has surrounded himself with operatives who are completely willing to do whatever he asks, regardless of the moral implications. The question of whether Rita will actually murder Javi if Leo disobeys the ultimatum is crucial. For people like Rita, threats are not bluffs. Rita makes promises that she fully intends to keep. If Leo defies the ultimatum and Rita's instructions, Rita will kill Javi without hesitation. She will not experience guilt or regret. She will simply consider it a necessary business transaction and move on to her next task. This absolute certainty that Rita will kill an innocent person is what makes the ultimatum so psychologically devastating for Leo. The laboratory secret's worth killing for. The fact that Rita and Gwen are specifically warning Leo to stay away from Dr. Rolf's laboratory raises critical questions about what is actually happening in that facility. What are these experiments that are so secret and so important that the DiMera family is willing to commit kidnapping and murder to protect them? The answer appears to be connected to Stefano DiMera's potential resurrection or return to Salem in some form. Dr. Rolf is a scientist who specializes in creating clones, bringing people back from the dead, and conducting experiments that push the boundaries of what science should ethically be allowed to accomplish. The laboratory represents the culmination of years of planning by E.J. DiMera to establish the DiMera family's supremacy over Salem through the most advanced scientific capabilities available. With Dr. Rolf in control of a fully equipped modern laboratory, EJ has access to capabilities that no other organization in Salem possesses. This laboratory could be used to create biological weapons, clone important figures, resurrect the dead, or accomplish any number of extraordinary and terrifying scientific objectives. The fact that EJ is so desperate to keep Leo away from this facility suggests that Leo has somehow discovered something that could expose the full scope of the laboratory's work. What exactly has Leo discovered? What information does Leo possess that makes him such a threat to the entire operation? Perhaps Leo has stumbled upon evidence of Stefano's resurrection. Perhaps Leo has discovered information about the nature of Dr. Rolf's experiments. Perhaps Leo knows something about the laboratory's actual location or capabilities. Whatever Leo knows, it is enough to make EJ believe that Leo must be either controlled, imprisoned in the laboratory, or silenced permanently. The kidnapping of Javi is designed to ensure that Leo chooses to be controlled rather than imprisoned or killed. The larger conspiracy, Stefano's shadow. The kidnapping of Javi and the ultimatum issued to Leo cannot be separated from the larger conspiracy involving Stefano DiMera's potential return to Salem. Marlena Evans has been experiencing prophetic dreams. Susan Banks has been sensing Stefano's presence in the mansion. Rachel Black has been obsessed with the Arabian Nights book. All of these seemingly disconnected events are actually pieces of a larger puzzle that appears to be pointing towards Stefano's resurrection or return in some form. The November Sweeps episodes and the 60th anniversary celebrations provide the perfect backdrop for introducing Stefano back into the narrative. Stefano is the most powerful and influential figure in Days of Our Lives history. His return would shake the entire foundation of Salem. EJ is apparently working to make this happen, and he is willing to do absolutely anything to protect the secret until the right moment for Stefano's revelation arrives. Leo has somehow discovered a piece of this puzzle, and that discovery makes him a threat. The conspiracy extends beyond just Stefano's resurrection. It appears to involve a broader plan to consolidate DiMera power and establish absolute dominance over Salem through scientific and technological superiority. Dr. Rolf's laboratory is the key to this entire operation. Everything that is happening, Leo's kidnapping threat, Javi's abduction, the ultimatum is designed to protect this laboratory and ensure that its work continues uninterrupted. The stakes could not be higher, and the level of ruthlessness displayed by Rita and Gwen reveals just how serious EJ is about protecting this secret. The moral abyss, Salem's descent into darkness. The kidnapping of Javi and the psychological warfare being waged against Leo represents a kind of moral line crossing that should shock even the most jaded viewers of Days of Our Lives. Salem has always been a town where crime and corruption are omnipresent, but what is happening now goes beyond typical crime. This is psychological torture on a massive scale. This is the weaponization of human compassion and moral conscience against Leo himself. Rita and Gwen have essentially weaponized Leo's basic human decency against him. They understand that Leo cares about human life, that he has at least some capacity for empathy and moral concern. They are using this against him, forcing him into a position where he must choose between his own desires and the life of another person. This is a form of psychological manipulation of the highest and most disturbing order. The question that will haunt Salem and all viewers is whether Leo will submit to the ultimatum or whether he will defy it. If Leo defies the ultimatum and pursues his investigation despite the threat to Javi's life, then he becomes responsible for Javi's death. If Leo complies and stays away from the laboratory, then he abandons his pursuit of truth and allows the DiMera family to continue their dark work unopposed. Either way, Leo loses. Either way, someone suffers devastating consequences. This is the diabolical genius of the trap that has been set for him. The November sweeps are going to be absolutely explosive. The events unfolding in Salem are going to change everything. Javi's kidnapping and the ultimatum to Leo represent just the beginning of a cascade of shocking revelations that will culminate in Stefano's return and the complete transformation of Salem's power structure. Hold on to your seats, because Days of Our Lives is about to deliver some of the most devastating and shocking storylines in the show's entire history. The town of Salem will never be the same after what is about to unfold.